All right, we're live, Charlie.
Okay, well, before we start, since we have a full house tonight, or practically a full house, right? First of all, I wanted to say welcome to everybody and our board members. And so if we could just go around the room so that you would know who's here, maybe tell people. Go ahead.
I'm Sean McGuire, I'm the executive director. There we go.
Dave Rowley.
Sam Wells, vice president of the board? Can't remember.
Vice Chair.
Vice chair.
Natisha Alexander, Treasurer.
Anthony Peace, board member.
Joe Stephen Graves, secretary.
Longtime board member, Charles.
Mark Bob Semple, vice member.
Michelle Dorsey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
And I would like to say for everybody that we're now on Outlook, I guess it is, Outlook, for notifications for board meetings.
Yes,
We get an email.
right.
And what if you got a phone? Does that come out on your email?
So the way you should be seeing your, we're just trying to make it a little bit more direct. We're trying to make it easier, but we're also trying to manage a lot of things at once. So we're sending out the Outlook meeting invitations.
Mhm.
The best thing to do is that when you get that, is if you're gonna be there, click accept, and I know you're coming. If you don't know if you're gonna be there, click tentative, and that way I know you might be there. And if you know you're not going to be here, click decline, because then I know. So what we're trying to do is that by Friday, see where we are quorum wise. So that way when Charlie and I catch up, I can let Charlie know that I got 3 people coming. I'm missing, we're missing others. And then, we can decide, does Charlie want to reach out to folks or do we want to postpone? So what we're going to do moving forward is that I'm going to let the chair decide on the meetings. So if we don't have a quorum, I'll let them know and they can make the decision. I just, it's the difficulty with like text messaging and phone calls right now. It's like right now Shelby's actually on family leave to take care of her mother. So if you would like reach out to her, she's not going to hear from you. And so the text messaging has proved not to be the most reliable because then you have to know which staff member to text message. If I'm away or when it's, so we don't always you don't know where we are every day. But that's why we'll check in and then we'll work with Charlie as the chair. If you're a committee chair, we'll also communicate the same to you if we're coming up short. Committees aren't as sticky as that, but we have a lot of things happening, and we're just trying to balance out giving everybody information, letting everybody know when meetings are happening, but not having to stop and then just make a series of phone calls.
Because we're a real estate thing, we can't not have a meeting because we usually have to dispose of something. We really have to be there for that. But other than that, we're going to talk about when needed. And we're so happy Michelle is here, so we're to full strength. We will be at the end of this meeting. So hopefully this won't come up again, but I just wanted to let everybody know this is important because we need to do business.
So how does this new process correlate to the survey that you sent out asking us what was our preference for communication?
Because we have been looking at other solutions to put in place, and we evaluated one that would have spent $3,000 for very little added functionality, essentially the ability to send text messages. And we've looked at trying to find something that we can install office-wide, like on our phone line, to be able to take text messages, but we just aren't finding the solution out there. So we've been down that path. So that's why we initially did not, with Nancy, who's part-time, we didn't have a phone for her. Well, she had a desk phone, but we didn't give her a cell phone. But when we kind of struck out on that, we ended up giving her a cell phone. So that way, if our communications go down, we still have a backup plan with our cell phones. Because if our internet goes out, our phones go out. But as long as the cell network is still up, we have some backup and redundancy. So we looked at a couple of different ways of trying to communicate, but we're really going to try to stick to email. If it's critical, and the chair, Charlie wants us to move heaven and earth to see what's going on, we at least know how the best way to get to you.
Okay, so first we did the call to order here on your wonder and honoring Juanita, of course. We would like to have a moment of silence for her because she was a loyal member of our team and dedicated, right? She always spoke up at board meetings. She had good questions. I didn't get to see her in the hospital. It was sad. But, we just thank her for her service, and we're gonna make sure that her family knows that, so. Moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you very much. And you're gonna communicate to the family something, right?
Yeah, we have a resolution honoring life and service of Juanita Neighbors.
Yeah.
So,
Is that on the agenda tonight? or-
That's on the agenda, yep,
Okay.
and
Okay.
this next item.
Good, all right. So here we are on B, number 5, okay, that's tab 1, we're still on tab 1. So there you have the text of the resolution.
I'm happy to read it if you'd like, Charlie.
You have to control.
Whereas Juanita Neighbors of the City of Albany was appointed to the Board of Directors of the Albany County Land Bank Corporation by the Albany County Legislature pursuant to Resolution Number 446 of 2020 to serve at the pleasure of the legislature for a term commencing immediately and ending December 31st, 2023. And whereas throughout her tenure, Juanita provided dedicated leadership, thoughtful counsel, and steadfast commitment to the mission of revitalizing neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and expanding opportunities for Albany County residents. And whereas Juanita brought the Land Bank Board a spirit of public service, deep compassion for the people of Albany, and a strong belief in equitable community development that guided her decision-making and strengthened the work of the organization. And whereas her contribution helped guide the land bank through a period of significant growth, partnership building, and deepening community impact. And her presence was marked by integrity, fairness, and genuine care for the well-being of others. Whereas Juanita's passing is a profound loss to her family, friends, colleagues in the city of Albany and the Albany County Land Bank community, all of whom benefited from her wisdom, kindness, and dedication. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Albany County Land Bank Corporation hereby expresses its deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Juanita Neighbors. It acknowledges with gratitude her years of service and the positive and lasting impact of her work, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be entered into the official record of the Albany County Land Bank Corporation, and that a certified copy be transmitted to the family of Juanita Neighbors with the board's profound appreciation for her life and service.
Do I have a motion to accept?
No.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Resolution passed. Thank you, everybody. Okay, going on to public comments. Do we have any?
We received none.
Before we move up, can we just make sure to sign that one in person and not walk your signature?
Yes. We'll generate that on a nice piece of paper for the signature as well.
Okay, annual action?
Well, before you move on, I mean, I don't know. It would be nice, I don't know if it's here at the land bank or the county or something. I think we should be able to do something in her name, is what I'm thinking about. I think I don't know, I don't want to say deserve that, but I think something like that should happen.
Yeah, we can look for an opportunity to recognize her on a project that we're doing.
Or name a street after her, I don't know. You know, something along those lines. And if we can push it, because I know she was very involved here, so.
Yeah.
Well, she should be on the city's radar because she got a big award last year.
Yeah, if the city were to do like an honorary street, that goes to the mayor's office.
Each council member, I think, has the opportunity to do 2 per, year.
Okay.
So I imagine, I don't know, the honorary street names have been in the 15th Ward recently, but Rock Road sounds like a perfect place to me.
Yeah, I think that's her district.
That is her district, so I don't remember who her council member is, but something we could help facilitate.
Sure.
Yeah, and the Rap Road people just called me the other day, so when I talk to them about Rap Road, I'll talk to them about that too.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
We have 4 resolutions ahead for annual actions before we get into the regular business. These are the standard ones that we do every year. I'll start with tab 3 is resolution number 6 for officer appointments. I did not hear from anybody that wanted to make any changes, so we just entered the same officers in last year for this year. So that'd be Charlie as chair, Sam as vice chair, Natisha as treasurer, and Joe as secretary.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution passed.
On tab number 7, this is going to be the committee appointments. I'm going to have to scroll down to say my notes here. I'm going to ask for one change on the floor to what's before you, and that was based on feedback from our attorneys. The governance committee, I know I'm going too far here. I don't have tabs. I have to get to it on the.
It's actually tab 3 in there.
Resolution
We're
7.
still on 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, tab 4. That's where I have it in mind.
There it is, confirmed committee and appointments.
So the governance committee reviewed this. The only thing that was a note here was on the audit committee. Charlie, we have you as an we slated Charlie as an alternate across the board except for executive. Because Charlie's been traditionally involved with the committees, but rather than adding Charlie as a formal member, it gives us some flexibility if Charlie's unavailable or if another member's unavailable to swap in and out. But on the audit committee, we were going to keep a space there because we have the vacancy created by Juanita's passing. And, we would bring somebody else into the audit committee. But as our attorneys pointed out, is that the audit committee needs 3 independent members. And so in this case, I would say that Charlie would name you to the audit committee now. But then when we have our new member, then we'll move you back down to alternate and put the new member at audit. That'd be the only thing I would suggest as a friendly amendment to the resolution here.
I'd like to stay on the real estate committee.
Okay.
On here, it doesn't have me on there.
Do our bylaws say that the president is ex officio of every committee anyway?
No,
It doesn't.
No.
It did it? Was it the previous?
I don't think you know.
I'm getting my bylaws mixed up.
Sorry, one of your other companies.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. So then we'll add Natisha to the real estate committee. We'll remove the alternate from Charlie as a member of that committee. And again, when we add another member, we can move that back.
Yep.
The other piece in this resolution is in the last set of bylaws, we said that committees by resolution that aren't named in the bylaws will exist until the next annual meeting. So that brings us to the Underserved Communities Committee, which my recommendation has been to recast that as our Community Engagement Committee. And there's a charge in the resolution there that the Community Engagement Committee is established to support the Land Bank's mission to foster equitable neighborhood revitalization and expand opportunities for residents throughout Albany County. The committee will ensure that the Land Bank's outreach, communications, engagement activities are inclusive, accessible, and effective for all members of the community, especially those who have been disproportionately harmed by historic and ongoing public policies, private practices, and market dynamics that have contributed to disinvestment, discrimination, and distress. Membership on the committee is not necessarily limited to members of the board, or the board may appoint additional members to the committee in such a manner that it helps advance this charge. So this would be the replacement to the Disadvantaged Communities Committee. Mark, I put you in as a committee chair, and Tish on that committee, Joe, and Charlie as an alternate. This is also, I think, I've talked to Charlie and I talked to the governance committee about this, would be a great opportunity to build a bench for the board. So when somebody is interested, like Michelle was interested, there was really no way to bring you in ahead of time to get you engaged. So this is what I would like to also use the Community Engagement Committee for, is to start to develop that bench of potential board members. So when one of you decides that you'd like to have your Tuesdays and your Wednesdays back again, you can feel confident that there's somebody there to step in, because there are also going to be members that you brought forward, somebody that you may have encountered. I know Charlie's encountered a young man.
Because I was really interested, so this would be really good to start on.
Yeah. So, I just want to close that loop up with him, and then if he's okay, we
Yeah,
can, we can fix that next month.
That would be great.
So that's the other, piece, to this resolution here.
So part of the underserved representative committee was that we had community members on it, particularly elected officials. Are we going to ask them to join the community engagement committee now, or?
Yeah, that would be the place to engage members of the community. I think our elected officials have a tremendous amount of access to the land bank, and, I think we're looking to, get closer into the neighborhood to people who maybe aren't currently engaged. Are trying to diversify our opportunities to connect with people and engage more people in the work that we're doing. But it could be elected. I'm not saying it couldn't be somebody who's elected and has a passion for what we're doing. But I just know that I talk to elected officials on a regular, they know where to find me. So it's not, I think we're trying to just drill down a little further.
Right, but my question is, are we gonna extend an invitation to them to join this community engagement committee, the ones who were on the underrepresented committee?
We can go back and
It was
bring the.
Robinson, wasn't it?
Robinson was one, but Carolyn,
Yeah,
and
Carolyn,
there was a
yeah.
couple other
Yeah.
county members, I wanna say.
Yeah.
I only remember Carolyn.
Carolyn and,
Oh,
I'll come up with there was, I think there were like two others.
Was it Bill Chapman, was it?
No,
It wasn't one of the
I'll
Robinsons?
look it up. No, I'll look it up.
Well, why don't we, if it's okay, let's get names together. I would suggest, it's your decision, that we get names together and then we can revisit, we can look at this next month as well. I mean, this is a committee that a name can be brought forward.
Yeah.
Because we've met somebody along the way that we didn't know previously. And that'll give me time to reach out to make sure that they, explain, what the charge is and what we'll be doing together and that they think of it, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. So do we have, or is it you, community engagement staff right now?
It's all of us. So we used to have Elizabeth was our community engagement coordinator. When Elizabeth left, we took a step back. I took a step back to rethink that. And just found that we really all have a commitment to community engagement, and we've all been involved in one way or the other. And so it's just an overall expectation of members of staff that you're going to be engaged in the community one way or the other. So Shelley, before she went on leave to take care of her mother, was going to do a neighborhood association meeting next week. Jason and Lynette were recent. Well, it is community engagement in a way. You're at the Historic Resource Commission meeting, trying to get a project move forward, but out doing that. And I know Lillian's, you've done the fairs at UAlbany with students to also help them understand our work.
I know that I've coordinated that, but I haven't attended one of those yet. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in.
Yeah, Lillian, I'm sorry, Lillian, I thought
It's
you
okay.
could leave that. So Lillian will, she'd like to get out too, so we're all engaged in that.
You gotta let her go outside. But going back to, I will talk more about this chart, but I really want to make sure that one of the charts is serving, that doesn't get lost in the community engagement piece.
I think I was very deliberate when I was writing up this charge to put that, especially those who have been disproportionately harmed.
Do you think in the absence of Elizabeth that we're doing what we need to do to be out there?
I think so, yeah. I don't see that we're missing anything. And again, that's what I think this community engagement committee is gonna be helpful for, is that I don't think we're missing anything. But if somebody in that committee thinks we're missing something, that's what we're looking for that committee to help us understand.
We are, because I get the same, it's the reputation that the land bank has always had in that community. And so I think we need to figure out how we penetrate penetrate the community. One, because this is a new administration, being that you're here, and two, because we need to just re-educate them on our process. What very frequently I get, I'm not messing with the land bank because the land bank don't do us right. The land bank don't want to work with us. I had all of my stuff together and the land bank just told me that they wasn't giving me the property. Like the message is the same. The sentiment is the same, no matter who the person is, that the land bank does not want to do business with the Black community, and we need to change that.
And that could be easily done, because I wear several hats that I'm involved with. That we could involve you guys in as well, so I agree with that, because every so often, the land bank is still around, I'm like, yeah. So you still get that, and it's not the land bank, but it's also how people still.
Historically have, yeah, because they'll say, oh, in the past, I tried to get a property and I came up there and I could tell they didn't want anything to do with me. I'm like, well, just like buying a house, you have all of your stuff in order, your financials, I had everything, and then all of a sudden they told me that they didn't think that I could do it. I'm like, well, I don't know specifics, but again, I can talk to people here and there, and the message is still the same. So I think we just need to figure out how we get them to understand that this land bank is not the old land bank.
Yeah. But when you encounter that, I need to hear it. I need and then offer to connect that person to me or to somebody on staff, because we need to find out why somebody feels that way, find out how we can re-engage them. So anytime you're hearing something that's less than positive about what we're doing, based on either what we're doing now or what we did before, that's a touch point. That's a connection point for us to make, is to go back and work on that. So, I'll give you an example. Like we're working we had some challenges with the 21 Lexington, but we're not letting that stop us from working with the folks who bought that to try to make it work. There were some issues internally with that partnership that exists there, but that's not preventing us from moving forward. I have a meeting, I think in a week or two, with one of the folks that were involved there. They said, let's re-engage. I said, we have to get one thing out from under us and resolve that, but now we're sort of reset. We're gonna figure out how we work together on these things.
Yeah, and I think it's inherent in the process that we have to vet people for property, and when you get down to the end, and you've got bad news, the numbers don't add up, somebody needs to explain it in a sensitive way about, you're not there yet, or, don't give up hope, that kind of thing. And that's just a little TLC in communication. And just like to say, anybody that has a negative reaction with us, we want to nip it in the bud. We want to sit down with them and say, what is your negative reaction and why?
Right.
We see some really, I think, and I'll probably look more at Shelby, but I know that, we've seen people apply for property that just don't have the numbers. And we look at what their budget looks like, and then what their income looks like, and you start to ask yourself, how are you going to maintain this? And I think we've dealt with that.
Well, yeah, and it's how do you tell people the reality, There's the reality of just cold, you don't qualify, goodbye,
Yeah.
or don't give up hope, here's a way to do it, whatever.
Well, that's part of one of the reasons I'm looking forward to engaging
Yeah.
with that one individual, because I think they can be a
That's
resource to help us.
Just as we have negative experiences, if we have positive experiences, we want those people to have voice and say, why, how did I get to the finish line, and why I think this is good for us.
Yeah, I think this team is very good at, if somebody calls with a question and it's within our realm, we don't send them away without an answer. If we don't have an answer for them, we have a resource for them. We can do that too with others that, have felt that way, or when they're not ready, explain to them what they can do to get themselves ready to become a property owner.
Yeah, I don't think it comes down to financial. I think it comes down to the attitude that they felt when you're here. And I do refer them to Shelby, because I do, think that Shelby very knowledgeable in her job. She's very personable, but she also can relate to a lot of people. So I do refer them to Shelby. Now, whether they reach out to her or not,
Yeah.
But I'm always referring them to Shelby.
Okay. Great.
And same, I think there's a part where I say, I reach out, I tell them, but I think sometimes they're done with they don't believe, so. So there's some of that I think we just need to be out there a little bit
Mhm.
I think we mentioned that. And going back to elected officials, I don't wanna just say Carolyn, but, I think we were at a low, and I tried to explain that to her. We didn't have properties at certain points, so she was like, I think we talked about this. I think you were gonna go in front of some of them and talk, and, maybe we go in front of the county at least, and the city.
Mhm.
Because again, a lot of people complain to the elected officials, and it's good for them to be abreast of what's going on with us. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know?
well, yeah, I mean, with the new administration change, I've reached out to City Hall to try to, get together with the mayor and her team. But even in light of that, like, we haven't gotten it scheduled. Before I got here, or before you all got here, I was with DGS sitting down talking to them. We have meetings scheduled with Assemblywoman Romero and Senator Fahey in April. I'm gonna reach out to a couple, probably the executive board, to see if you're available. If you'd like to join me, I think it'd be great to have you, come down. Was in Tonko's office. I am every other week in a property meeting with the Albany County Executive's office.
Well, specifically the Black Caucus would be good, a good group for the county.
Yeah.
Because again, they get a lot of the same thing we get, and people will just talk to them, is what I would suggest, and we can do it together since I'm the chair, but.
But also that was one of the reasons why we had that committee, because the elected officials kept hearing all these concerns and complaints, and they came to the land bank then and said that we need to do something.
He recognizes the role I just put him in. I asked you to be put into. But I think this is good. This is a step in the direction that we need to go in. And I think it's what we have said all along, is that no matter what anybody does to try to undercut, diversity, equity, and inclusion, one of the ways that we can embrace that ourselves is just to recognize, like, we don't have my network is not complete, the staff's network is not complete, but we all together form a more complete network to be able to reach into the community. So I think this will be good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this change.
Well, I'm kind of glad we got the committee reconstituted, and so now we'll figure out what to do with it, right?
And I'm sorry for my ignorance, because I'm not a social media person. How is our social media?
The kids say it's on fire. No, it's been good. We're getting out there, and we could probably get a little bit more, but I'm going to talk to some communications professionals a little bit more about how we think we should be messaging, and maybe what they know better than we do in terms of our messaging.
Yeah.
I know with this, like, for Juanita's, this resolution about Juanita, we'll need to get that, we'll get that out there and let people know about it. We tend to post on our website, but nobody's going to individual websites. They're looking at what's in their feed for information. So we have to connect that a little bit better. But,
Well, it depends on the age group, is what I'm noticing.
yeah.
Everybody, people are still, depending on the age, I'm still, the best social media is word of mouth, but Facebook, Instagram, those are the two popular ones. Twitter is still holding on.
It's not Twitter, it's X.
Yeah, we don't use X anymore. We depreciated that, so we're in Facebook and Instagram.
And LinkedIn, you're on LinkedIn.
We're LinkedIn,
You
yeah.
share a lot of things on LinkedIn.
And I know people don't like TikTok, but
You want to do TikTok?
young people are there.
I agree.
I'm just saying. I don't like it.
No.
I don't like none.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for this committee to discuss what the messaging is. In other words, when you talk to any small business, what's the persona of the customer? And what do they want to know, what do they want to hear? So the feedback we're getting is, we're not hearing what we want to hear when we're here. So we need to put the messages out that appeal and understand what's missing. And so that's the conversation we probably should have in that committee. Is like, what have we heard? What are the things they didn't like? And how do we resolve it? And what to do if you don't like it? And if that's in our social media, it says, if you're not happy, have a sit down with our committee. But that may be the messaging.
Well, yeah.
Are you joining the committee?
I'm on some. I can come to meetings like that. I'm good with stuff like
We don't mind.
that. Mark does not want me involved.
Well, I mean, we did the audit today, we said we have to do an audit, we have to check and potentially reissue the audit RFP, we're doing the legal services. I know we have a communication type RFP we'd like to get out there, we also have our lot RFP, I mean, we have a lot of things that we wanna get done. But one of that is about like messaging and branding, because there's a lot of, I'm grateful that we're, a component of Albany County. But with that, we get lumped in with everybody else. And so I think that's one thing we're gonna ask is that, is that the best name for us? Does that describe us the best, or are we something else, the Albany County Land Bank Corporation? Like, do we need a more, branded identity, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know. So you hired a planner, not a communications expert, but I just don't want to ask the right questions some days.
So would it be a good idea to charge that committee with having that conversation and
We could do
deciding
that.
whether or not we need that?
We gotta have that conversation with the communication committee.
And like I said, I don't want to join another committee, but when that conversation takes place, if there's a meeting about that, I will come to that and be a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the
Is that
meetings.
okay, Mark?
We'll see if we can invite you. Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm part of Albany Housing Board, and we have the same issues. One of the things that we do that I think is effective is that we hold community meetings in the different areas for people to come if they want to know more about housing. Because we have the same, we get. I mean, I think we get beat up more about housing, so we're like, look, let's be proactive and have these meetings.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot, so we just plan, we have some in the South End, some, where all our properties are. So,
We've done, I think our approach to have a strong connection to the neighborhood associations is giving us that outlet without having to put another meeting on the calendar. So I think we've been, I did Sheridan Hollow 2 months ago, a month or 2 months ago. And then we have the South End coming up. I had done Delaware Avenue October, November of last year. And so we're slowly making our way through all the city's neighborhood associations. Happy to
So
go.
there is a South End Neighborhood Association?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Joanne Morton.
Joanne, yeah, so we need to get to her meeting.
Yeah, and we were there about a year ago now, right? I think it was February. Yeah, I think it was February. I think I was coming back from Washington. And we had with MDG, with the co-development team, we had that neighborhood. That wasn't an officially neighborhood association meeting, but they sort of blended together.
You can always hit Cana too, that gets them all.
We still have a Canaan?
But
Yes.
yeah, now they meet by Zoom, so it's kind of convenient.
Okay.
And this is more for the committee, but I also want to put on record that we've always done those type of meetings. And I don't know that they have been the most effective, at least the folks that I hear from are not going to those meetings and they're not getting information from that meeting. So in that committee, I think we also need to think about where we need to go to where these people are. I mean, today would be a great day to go to where these people are. But we need to figure out what other avenues, maybe when there's an event somewhere, maybe we can ask them if we can do some kind of presentation before their event start.
Yeah.
To meet those people where they are.
Yeah, I know one question for the community engagement committee is gonna be, like, in the past, like, we've tabled that Tulip Fest. Is that really where our time is best spent, or, is that the right audience, or, so those are the
Right.
types of questions, and that's what when we see events come up on the calendar, or, an opportunity, we ask that question, it's like, are we really talking to the people that we, there's two questions, need to engage with as a broader strategy, and then two, more target, on a more targeted basis, engage with because, we have property to sell and repurpose. So,
I mean, the bigger challenge to me is, you're gonna be doing some of the county's work for them, right? The county, the way that properties go through tax foreclosure has changed so drastically, and the county has done, as far as I can tell, zero marketing and outreach to tell people that, the auctions are back and properties have to go through 2 successive auctions before they make it to the land bank. So I would just reach out to the county, invite them to join you, and so as far as I can tell, I still get questions all the time. Why isn't land bank getting any properties? People don't know that the way this is all changed. And, you know, the folks in the know, the folks, some of whom we have purposefully screened out because of their problematic ownership of the properties in the past, they know the auctions are back. But the folks that really need these properties and that really like should be getting in, do they know? I would wager they don't. And that's just as much the county's work as it is ours.
But I think we need, I won't change the name, I think people need to know that it's just like what Charlie just did. It's Cana, do they still exist? That's how it is for Omni Land Bank sometimes with me, you know, do they still exist? But I think part of holding your own meetings is you market it and your name gets out there, you know, that you're doing stuff. And you know, I'm not saying that we do a lot of meetings, but, you know, one or two, and explain those type of things, because those are the type of things that people don't know.
Yep.
And they blame us for.
And you know, if the county doesn't join us, they'll blame us for things that aren't our fault.
Yeah.
We're used to that.
I know that, that's like in government,
That's
but
that's like
not,
land
I'm
banking.
just saying it's not right,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that we run cover for somebody else.
And Charlie and I, we're working on, you know, I'm trying to put you in. The other thing too is all the folks that we work with, it would be good to have them at the meeting to say our success stories. You know, because that's also, we need it out there too, that we're doing stuff. That's the home ownership association that you've been trying to start.
Don't look at me.
But, you know, those, because we have been doing it, and people have been successful, and people need to know those type of stories. But anyway, we can move on. As chair, I said,
We've got our now, our complete committee thing. Do I have a motion for these committees for the year?
Well,
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was the second on
me, I was about to say this.
I think there's a conflict of interest because you're chair of powerful.
But it's all the committees, so.
Yeah.
Sean, please, please.
I like what's here.
We're still on the same tab, but we're going to see.
Resolution number,
Tab 5.
still in the same tab. Yep, they're gonna be all together. We're just gonna go one after the other. This is just affirming the policies of the land bank. We haven't made any changes. We will have one change later on, but rather than, we had already slated that one further down. So this is just going to affirm policy of land bank. We every year need to affirm the procurement policy, the internal control policy, and the disposition policy. There have been no changes in the past year, but just positive affirmation that still remains the policy of the land bank. And they're in their packet as well. The next, and I will say the disposition policy is my next one on my my update list. So we'll affirm this one now, but we may revisit this one in the next few months.
I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed.
Resolution number 9 is approving the fiscal year 2025 AVO report. And prior to this, just immediately prior to this meeting, the audit committee met to receive the audit report. And so what we're doing right now is you have the operations and accomplishments. And I'll pull this up on the website too, so I can see it here. No, not those yet. Reports, we prepare this ahead of time. One is our operations and accomplishments report here. We just describe what our operations are. We describe the completed and active projects. We just, provided the update on the South End project and all the properties that were sold as a result of that. And that's received its local approvals. Ontario Street and West Street, that they submitted a 9% live tech application, which we updated the real estate committee. They were not successful in this round, and not because it wasn't a good project. They weren't successful in this round because Regan had 2 other projects in the state awarded that had been in for second or third times. So HDR really likes this project, but it's just sometimes you just got to get in line and wait for the timing. So I'm very bullish on a successful application in the next round. Henry Johnson Boulevard and Clinton Avenue, still active, but we're talking with the developers about what the next steps are. If you'd like to discuss that, I'd be happy to do that in executive session, but not something I really want to hash out in a public meeting. It's a little bit more nuanced. Flip the Block, we're still in the planning phases for that. We noted that we did sell the first home in that project area, and then there were no material changes to the land bank, except that we did update the bylaws, and then we're working to start we updated the bylaws, consolidated some committees, the acquisition, disposition, enforcement and compliance, and real estate into a single real estate committee, which was charged with working with the staff to guide the overall strategy of the land bank. Our performance measurements report, closing the sale of $97 million for the 166 units of new housing. We acquired 19 properties to help advance affordable housing. We approved 2 qualified home buyers, sold 1 unit of affordable housing. We received 1 property by donation. We approved 3 qualified first-time home buyer applicants. We sold 3 buildings for 5 units to qualified first-time home buyer applicants. We received and reviewed 83 applications from potential buyers. We completed the demolition of 2 properties. 86 properties were then sold, which includes the South End project. We returned $2.4 million in assessed value to local tax rolls based on the 2025 assessment rolls. We engaged 6 program partners. We continued to advance our 3 development projects. We worked with our 2 funding partners, Albany County, New York State, and received $2.45 million in funding in 2025 from our partners. That's our performance measurements. And our annual investment report is just a report on our policies. There's been no changes from year to year. I think it doesn't really get into too much for us. Our major investment vehicle is our money market account, which we negotiated a really solid rate with Pioneer Bank when we opened those accounts. Prior to that, we were doing those 30-day T-bills.
Who gets these reports?
This goes up to the state, to the authority's budget office. It also gets posted on our website. And then some of the performance measurements and some of these pieces will get fed into when we do the glossy annual report, when we do the designed and laid out more public annual report. But these are just the ones that are for the ADO right now. The authority's budget office.
I'm thinking those are the type of stuff, some of those stuff is what we need to get in front of the county, the elected officials.
Yeah, what we'll do, and I'm just showing you the 2024, we changed our report to called the annual impact report. It used to just be called an annual report, but here we are. So we'll take that information from those 3 reports, and that'll be some of what underlines when we do the 2025 report. But this is what goes out to the county and the city and our different partners. And so we'll start designing that next. Shelby was working on some of that, so we just got to pick
When
that
does
up.
that go up?
That, I'm gonna aim for, it's probably end of April. I'd like to get it done in the next 30 days. This one took a little bit longer last year. We did a big refresh of this, so this took longer to get laid out. We were gonna work with a designer, and then we decided just to do it in-house.
I like to suggest a strategy for this year's report, being that we just talked about our brand and social media, where you put a post of some of these achievements, posted like 1 achievement a day leading up to when the report is coming out. Because we don't know how many members are even going to read. The elected officials are reading the reports, but we do know it will show up on people's feed.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea.
And I would like to add to that, this could be in our ways, so certain people won't be able to do input. If we do a slide deck with this, we could take this around
Mhm.
to folks.
Yeah.
Because I agree, people don't read. Unfortunately, they need to read.
First thing I tell my grad students is that policymakers, you gotta hit them with the main idea right up front, because they have a lot of stuff in front of them and they can't read.
Short attention
20
span,
pages.
yeah.
Yeah,
I just think they have a lot to read it, but
they do. And.
Yeah.
And sometimes annual reports, they know it's all good, so they're like, oh.
But the point I was making is we don't know, if you send to your office, I've worked for a member at a different level. The member don't look at there was no way I was giving my member every annual report that walked in the door.
no.
So just to be able to, again, everyone is on social media, we have something that if we post it, then we're all sharing, those who can share, we're all sharing in our social media and it's getting shared throughout other feeds. More people will more than likely be able to see at least the accomplishments and what we've done. Then like I said, in the caption, you can lead them to the full report on the website.
Yeah, and that's what that's one of the reasons we're not gonna print this in the bulk that we did before. We're gonna send this out because then we can see who clicked through, who read it, and, but I hear what you're saying and I'll show you this real quick if it's a little bit off topic, but when I was in Washington to meet with Paul Tonko's office, rather than giving them a big report or anything, we sat down, we talked about what we're doing, we left one page behind with a brief summary. I actually gave him the flyer for Sight and Elizabeth to go with this, but then we left him with the end because we were there to advocate for our brownfield grant that we submitted. So those are some of the things that we do behind the scenes, but I'd love to show more of that to you, so.
And more pictures.
Yeah, well. I had to figure it out but we did, that's why we brought the flyer for 79 Elizabeth, because it had lots of pictures to it, so.
Cool.
Let's see what's happening there. So those reports coupled with the audited financial statements, and the audit report would be uploaded to the ABO and submitted. Those are due April 1st. So that's what resolution 9 covers.
Okay, so can we vote on this resolution now? Do you have a-
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstained, resolution passed. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
January 20th,
Okay,
same 7.
tab 7. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any additions, corrections, or changes to the minutes?
Done.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution passed. Minutes accepted. Executive Director's report, tab 8.
I'm worried I have to pass that last motion that I won't spend too much time on this, but I'll hit the high notes first. I already told you I went to Washington. So you Mark, or somebody said, did you see more pictures? Here's a picture for you, Mark. There I am right there. You can't make me out so much because I'm losing so much hair on the top, but I'm starting to blend in with the Capitol. Had a good time there. We talked to planners and economic developers at the summit, and then I used that time to also meet up with Congressman Tonko's Deputy Chief of Staff and let him know about our brownfield funding. Overall financial updates for February, consistent with what the auditor's report was, we're in really good shape. Asset structure is, heavily weighted towards cash, allows us some flexibility in what we do. And I think that, as we move through the year, a chance to talk about what we want to do with that cash in terms of being a risk investor into neighborhoods, because we can be a catalyzer for improvements. And something that I've observed, and I think the team's observed as well, is that when we go in and start working on a property, other things start happening around us. When I was in Washington, I was talking to folks from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who have observed the same thing. And they're not a land bank, just the municipality, but they're doing some land bank type work. And they said that when they start getting involved, things are happening around them. And so that's exactly what we want to see. So we're going to keep moving down that path. Operating losses, even though we're at the beginning of the year, we usually have an operating loss, but we did improve that year over year by $90,000. So overall financials were in a really strong place. our KPIs, this early in the year, we had 2 properties sold, nothing acquired, nothing donated, no demolitions yet. Our total inventory is 187 different properties, and that's a mix of properties that we're holding for our own projects, like Flip the Block, but also lots that are available. I don't think we have any buildings currently for sale. Is everything a lot right now? Yeah, so all the buildings, any buildings that we have slated into some sort of program. So we're moving in that direction. I think I already ran down these pieces on the annual report, but things are progressing well on the south end. On Ontario Street, I did check in with Regan Development just to again see where they are, and they the ones who shared with us the news that they weren't selected this round, but very positive reception by those that review those applications. So I think we're in line. I think it's where we expect ourselves to be. And then we're waiting to see what we're going to do with Henry Johnson Boulevard and Clinton Avenue. So we know where that's headed or not headed, and we're just waiting for the next steps there. Flip the Block, team's got the demolitions. I think we're just about ready to get the RFPs out for demolitions, and then we can start getting. I think we have 2 or 3 buildings that come down. 3 buildings that come down. There are some lots on the auction list, and when the real estate committee meets in April, we'll present some options that we may want to bid on, some additional properties in that neighborhood for, once we get through this part of the project. If we're successful, we may, want to consider phase 2. Sheridan Avenue is moving along. I really want to give a hats off to Lynette. We were not seeing the progress we needed to see there, and I think that was, the message when we went through the approval to amend the contract and pay that note off and then get more directly involved. But since Lynette's gotten involved, this project has really started to pick up pace here. I think that whole front is sided now. And
Not yet. It will be.
not yet, okay, it's very close, but Lynette's been directly involved, and it's helped, I think, the Seat Center and its team fill a bit of a gap in what they were, and what they're able to do. So, anything you want to add to that, Lynette? I think the students are feeling
Yeah, they're
your
excited.
impact.
Yeah, they're very motivated. They're excited that they have work to get done. They've insulated the building. Sheetrock was delivered just last week, so they started
Who's
closing.
very excited?
Students.
Oh,
The Seat
you mean
Center.
you got them back in again?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
geez.
didn't know that.
Well, we thought they walked away.
No, they've been working. They've already
Great.
insulated the building and, yeah. Sheetrock is going up now, and then we're talking about ordering more materials so that we
Well,
can.
maybe it was a management issue. You were the kick butt person, right? Get everything going.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you
what
so
I'm here
much for that.
for. You're welcome.
Yes.
Lynette's direct experience in real estate and having done her own work has been critical in getting us back up to speed. And even getting better pricing too. So Lynette's been, talking to Home Depot, they had bid out like the sheetrock and then got us better pricing on that. But Lynette's gone a step further and actually got the contact information for that distributor. And so we can actually work directly with the distributor and not even have to go through the middle of Home Depot to get some of these supplies. So, which is going to be key for us as we move with our own projects, is having this behind us.
I was looking at the map that Captain issued at a meeting last night, and it goes all the way to the project zone area on Henry Johnson Boulevard. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
I didn't think it did, but I just took a picture of it last night, and I was kind of thinking it went right to our project zone area.
Yeah, I think it comes up almost to like either Quail or Lake, it's like a far end of
I'm
the,
seeing First Street
okay,
of Henry Johnson's First Street.
yeah.
That's right there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about that with the code. It's something that I'm trying to, as we work through the home leasing co-development project, the CAP initiative is something that I'm looking towards as a way to help us jumpstart that and get that moved along.
The hardest part is the match.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Well, I think that the issue is that we knew we have the capital into it, but one of the issues that we ran into was the contamination from the remediation that was done in the past only to a commercial standard, because that was the advice DEC It's the advice that I believe DEC gave when they cleaned up those properties and thought housing will never go there. Well, guess what? Housing is going to go there. Right now we have an environmental easement over it that says no housing. And so to clean it up, they're not letting it, I was told they're not letting it back into the DEC, the brownfield cleanup program, the DCP program, to leverage more tax credits to, push that along. So, we may need to take this project and these plans down to the CAP initiative and say, like, we are so close. Like, if you want to get something off the ground, an award to this project would move this.
This is where the gas station was?
Clearly, they're making it clear that they want projects, especially like this, and that if there are regulatory hurdles, they want to know what they are so they can involve the right agencies to keep it from being off the table.
Yeah.
So that's a good news.
Yeah. I think that what we're hearing about wanting shovel-ready
Yeah.
type projects, speaks to what we have, so.
Sure. Got two questions. One on that, what is the level of remediation that needs to happen? Do we have like a cost estimate? I guess, what are we going to ask for?
Well, when somebody else looked at that, when home leasing was shopping it around, we were hearing that there needs to be like another $1 million put into it. And it was that was enough to teeter the project in the wrong way. Like it threw all the numbers off.
Is there any like documentation of that? I'm just picturing going and asking for that money without any backup material, or
Potentially, it's something that we have to talk to home leasing about, is what's gonna happen to the project documents if they don't advance this project.
Okay.
We've been maintaining the properties, we've spent down the deposit to maintain the properties while we've been in this holding position. So there's nothing for us to go and buy those development plans from them. But that's about all I probably would say right now.
Okay.
Right here.
Other question on Sharon Ave, thank you. We approved a decent change order not too long ago. I guess, how does your involvement and ordering more materials match up to what we approved to get the project over the finish line?
That changed, I'm still waiting for the contract to get executed. There was a question that Seat Center had back to me, and I sent it back to them, and their financial person is supposed to review it all again, get an updated letter from home headquarters and pay off. But as we're doing this, we're documenting it because we're gonna deduct, because this is now our expense that gets this project done.
Is Lynette like an actual project manager on the job, or just kind of pushing things? Like, are we counting her time towards that?
I don't know, are you
Well,
counting your?
I've been putting it on my calendar and keeping track of that, because we've had like 7:30 a.m. calls and, a number of other
Good way to
things.
get out of the office, do a site visit,
I'm
Check on the
always
kids.
out, do inspections and
awfully out.
everything.
Now let's bring us here a little more.
I think the
Yeah.
guessing game in this office is where is Sean or where is Lynette at a given point in time, because we're all over the place. Yeah, no, but we're keeping track of it, so like, for example, the drywall and all of that, as we're ordering that, because we're ordering it now. We're keeping tabs on those pieces, so we can present those costs
The
back to
answer
them.
is the project manager for them is not no longer there. We've had to step in and be the project.
Right, well, I'm gathering that at this
Yeah.
point, but like, I guess you answered it, like that contract for the change order that we signed, that's hasn't really progressed anywhere.
No, I mean, you still approved me to negotiate and get that executed, and I'm still in the negotiating
Okay.
phase to get that executed, yeah. I know, we know what the number is, and, we for example, one of the things that, we wrote in there is that we want a substantial completion date, and if we don't, then we want liquidated damages of $500 a day. We didn't have that in our original contract, and so we're, sort of holding people's feet to the fire on this, and it's helped, the timeline has been helped by Lynette's involvement. But I think, but we're still a good, working relationship with the youth build program. I think it was just, for
The
whatever
good news
reason.
is this isn't a rehab, this is a new building, so it's a lot simpler. to
Yeah.
get to the finish line.
Get it done.
We'll move on. Oh, I So community engagement, what is that?
We just, we always report back to you on website views and total office visits.
Okay.
That's how we've been tracking community engagement.
The Beverwick project, just want to make sure, because they, the LIHTC application got denied. So this year, just want to make sure that the development team over there takes advantage of their year extension they can request, so they don't have to go back through the planning board.
Yeah.
Didn't they give us some money already?
Yeah, we did, yeah, we have some
I think we
maintenance.
got some from Regan as well.
We have some maintenance money on that
Some
one,
maintenance.
Yep. So they cover the maintenance
Yeah,
costs.
okay, that's good.
And a side note though, you'll like, was it the Times, I saw somewhere, somebody had covered Pat Chu, who bought 135 Ontario and 260 Bradford. You know, so he's got that project before the city.
Business review.
Yeah, the business review covered that, so. And then the last, just quick piece here is that the real estate committee just got a chance to see some of the recent enforcement mortgages we received, that we released, so you can see some before and after pictures. In your slide deck, 19 Bradford Street, look at those floors in there, that's great. In the bathroom. 73 Lancaster Street, Joe's old stomping grounds and goes.
Might be the nicest house on the street now.
There you go, see?
But that brings up the issue of the positive finish line, right? If someone got it to the finish line and you wanna communicate that to people, that somebody did succeed.
Yes. So the community engagement piece and the social media, these are absolutely topics that we need to get onto our website with stories and shared out to social media so people see this type of work too, but also how to engage with us.
This could be you, but you're not coming to talk to us at the land bank.
That's right. Yeah, this could be.
That's the type of,
Call me.
You can invite you to.
Here's Mark's phone number. So that's my report for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them or.
Cohoes, for example, does anyone from the city reach out on this? 'Cause I think that's a huge achievement to get. Just
No,
one
I
lot
probably
like
should.
this over the finish line. We have a couple in goes the past year that got completed.
Yeah, I need a reason to go to the Daisy for a coffee, so I can have to get Steve and some folks a call to the city to say, let's talk about what we're working on for you.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for them to highlight. I mean, it's good work.
Speaking of our municipal partners too, the water relief properties, that Mr. La Savita was, when he was on the board, was, suggested that we talk to the city about. Those are soon to close contracts, that's a longer process. Work with our municipal partners is a great opportunity, it just takes a little bit longer. All right, that's my report. There's committee reports, tabs 9, 10, and 11 for executive real estate and governance. That's for your leisure. If you have any questions or if there's anything from those committees that you wanted to note or highlight that we covered this month. I think these new committee structures are working out pretty well. It's giving us some more time to talk through things. And actually, executive, I think we had a little bit, you got actually time back in the day. Usually that's not the case, so.
Yeah.
It's a well-oiled sheet already. So, if there's no questions on those, Charlie, we have some new business on tabs 12 and 13.
Okay.
One of you, David, you have.
I have a question.
Tabs 13 and 14.
How many actual buildings do we have in inventory right now?
9?
We have more than that.
You put me on the spot for a Jeopardy question here, but
No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's all right. I can tell you real
We
quick.
should know that.
As your lawyer, I was gonna say, don't ask.
My bad.
You jumped to. what
You
it
took
is.
Oh, by type, we have 24 residential buildings. 156 residential vacant lots. One is classified as a commercial building, and then one is classified as a commercial vacant lot.
Of those 24 buildings, how many do we think that the scope is just out of range for like a first-time home buyer? or our typical
All of them.
client? All of them?
Yeah.
So those are all inside our in-house rehabs. Trying to see those are our new boards here. So everything from that point up are our residential buildings. Yeah, they need work. I think maybe the best one on the list is 25 North First Street, but we need to rehab that and sell that and recover what we put into the acquisition of that property.
And if you remember that, we actually did sell that one to a first-time home buyer, and that first-time home buyer had a contractor rip her off and run away with the
Yeah.
money.
So we took it back and now we're gonna rehab.
We
That's
sort of,
right. The reality is the buildings we own are so bad. We can't do it. So selectively, we're gonna rehab some of them, right? Very carefully, selectively.
We have some that are programmed for rehabs. We initially were looking at doing them full across the board, full rehabs. So we've taken another look at these. As a really credit, I think Jason was the one who, we were talking about this. So we can do some of these incrementally. Like we could do like on Judson, we did the porch on 59 Judson to resolve that harm to the neighborhood. And so we could take other ones that are visual harms to neighborhoods and start to address that right away. And then we may mothball the interior. And then the next step may be doing all the mitigation, get the lead and asbestos out, and get it down to the studs and get it ready for somebody to come in and do the finish work. And if we find that it's not going anywhere there, we may then go and do that next step and get it to builder's grade and then start to sell it. So we're looking at these incremental milestones, the development cycle that we can bring our properties down, because it's also a way for somebody who's a developer from the neighborhood to come in at a point where they feel that the level of work and the amount of risk is reasonable for them to step into.
So I think we should talk about this because some of the folks that I talked to about the land bank and they have a certain feeling about the land bank are investors from these underserved communities. And I think that would be a good opportunity for us to partner with them on some of these properties and see if there's some kind of bridge there, even if it's to them come in and, we all about affordable home ownership. So how can we get them to come in, partner with us, and we can get the properties back on the market
Yeah,
at an affordable rate?
right, and I think that's the intent on this different design of doing incremental milestone type work. I had a good phone call with a financial partner who's working to get financing for a newer developer, and from I don't remember where she lives exactly, so I don't want to represent that she's from one of our neighborhoods that we're involved in, but was looking at property in the neighborhood, and once she got the scopes, some of it was like the numbers weren't right for her to get involved. And they wanted us to put some of our grant funding into it. And I said, well, it's like, we can't do that. I can't just underwrite this, but we could entertain, another co-development opportunity. We could entertain, we're saying is that we could do some incremental milestone mitigation to get the property ready for somebody else to put their capital into. And that frees up our capital to go to the next one down the line. So if somebody else is ready to jump into something before we are, then at least we've gotten it as far along as we can to where somebody can get involved, because that's going to be impactful, just as well as us trying to sit on these and do them all ourselves.
So have we identified of our existing inventory, of which all are shows, have we identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that we might want to do this with, so that we can actually be working on building to try to get them to the stages we're talking about here?
Well, we have a few that we want to do top to bottom because we've been programming it that way. We actually need to get some money spent down, because this is another issue that we run into, is that we get to a point where we need to spend down to get to the next round of funding. And so that's where we're stuck at right now, is spending down to get to the next round of funding. And we're trying to spend down, and for example, like we have 45 Second Avenue that we need to demolish. Well, now we're held up because the Historic Resource Commission wants us to do more evaluation of the structure before they let us demolish it, even though SHPO has already, we've already worked with SHPO to determine from their perspective that it's okay. So, now we're like a little stuck again because we were ready to move forward. And so now we're gonna have to try to figure out how we get that unstuck. But in the meantime, that's why we're doing the demolitions in our Fulton Block neighborhood. And that's why we'll start working through the North First Street and Grand Street are the first two on the list. What else?
And then Judson,
That's
48,
Judson.
48 and 59 Judson.
And who's one managing all this? You guys? And how are we outsourcing who does the work?
We get bids for the work. So on Judson, for example, went out and you got bids from 3 contractors.
Mhm. And WPNT was the one who handled that, yeah. So we would bid out the different so for like the trades, we would just bid those out and get at least 3 quotes for each, and then have them do that.
And we look for opportunities to engage with minority women business enterprises. WPNT is a minority business enterprise.
Mhm.
And we've had good success with.
I think it'd be helpful for the board to see what you've got your fingers in. You just rattled off a bunch of properties that you're working on. And it'd be nice to have a cheat sheet every month where you can just say, here's what we did this month on this property.
We can do that.
So that for our edification to see, because you're clearly doing stuff like we found out, being the GC, backing into it, but it's something we have to do because it's the nature of the business. But for the board, it would be helpful to see all these things that you're doing in each one of these. So just a one-page thing about, here are the 5 or 6 properties I just heard you mention, and here's what we're doing on them. That would be helpful to us.
Because we know, Lynette, you're doing all the work. But, just one.
Not at all.
You said you like when he's here. So, you can do that.
No, it's a team effort.
Oh, you are so nice.
Let me recheck those committee assignments. Those have changed yet.
Somebody just found his way to audit. I'm good on a lot of committees. So we can pull together a running sheet up.
Yeah, progress.
Just a narrative.
You're understating, you're undervaluing what you guys are doing here. There's a lot of stuff, you got a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah.
We'd like to know about.
I thought you had an in-house project manager.
Yeah, we're all of us. Yeah, we can do that. I think what we can do is, like, we're reporting on the progress of the co-development projects.
Yeah.
We can also give you some updates on.
Yeah, you're running lists on, we did this from this house, we did that on that house, so we get a feel for it.
Yeah, we'll work on that, like a narrative update of what's happened month to month.
Great.
That'll be easy to do.
Yeah, that's easy.
I thank you for including the minority, because that's also key to get some of those folks involved. That would help with our
And
narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next here? Maybe
New business.
we have new business, right?
Yep. Resolution 10 authorizing the sale of real property. The real estate committee advanced
Tab 12.
585 3rd Street and 8 Westford Street, tab 12.
Do I have a
For David,
motion?
tab 14.
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Sorry, who was the motion on that?
No, I second.
Second and move here.
I did.
Okay.
When in doubt.
Very active today.
Yeah.
We're gonna check the tape on that. The league office in New York's gonna look at that.
Audit.
Do we get a red thing that's running? I don't think it was Mark.
Slow-mo replay, or Mark slips move or not.
Is that all in favor?
Yes.
And then we have resolution 11, which is the updated acquisition policy. I jumped ahead, I started talking, I know you like, we should do a move in a second so we can discuss.
Where's the number 6?
Tab 13, tab 14.
So end of the line.
I'll make a motion for resolution 11.
Okay, second.
Second.
Discussion?
So this was reviewed in the governance committee, so as I'm updating, we're going through and just reviewing policies and making sure that they're up to date, valid, nothing has changed in terms of state statute. This was a policy where we had actually two policies of acquisition. We had an acquisition policy and a property donation policy. We really just joined these two together and cleaned up a little bit of the language. They used to be bulleted in the past, and so this time we're numbering and lettering things in more of an outline format. Just so it's clear, there's a clear reference there. We also added in some footnotes where the state law or the State Land Bank Act comes into play, or the Public Authorities Accountability Act. I don't think it comes into play on this, but we're adding some of those cross-reference pieces, so that way if somebody looks at the policy, they understand where that piece of the policy came from. So policies do not have those. But the governance committee also asked that we have our attorneys look at that, and they looked at that. They sent me a red line copy back, and it was just the changes we made. So they were all set. They saw there was just a join up those two policies.
What about the new candidate? Can we go through committee stuff?
Oh, you're right.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't make it on there. Well, if you want to vote on that, if you're okay with a late starter, I'll craft resolution 12.
Well, if you would like to have that person come to the next meeting.
I would love to have the full board.
So where's the resolution?
Give me 1 second here. On the
The
fly.
county sent us another name. We went through the committee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we did.
So they're vetted, as much as they need to be vetted, they're vetted.
We get the resolution.
Background checks, FBI.
No one called me.
Yeah, did it go through Mark?
And then we'll need to, we already do that for the LLC as well,
No,
yearly stuff.
no, we didn't do the yearly. I thought,
I can't remember if we did that in February or January.
we didn't do any of
Was
that.
that the holdings?
Yeah, the holdings, all
Meeting.
ACLB holdings LLC.
We have to go, we have to.
And it's just the same, it's just a formality, but we should do it.
We're just admiring your file structure.
I'm trying, listen, this is an artwork. We've got it.
No pressure.
So the governance committee reviewed Carolyn Brancatella from Delmar, and she was suggested by the county legislature as a possible candidate. We had the governance committee review her resume. She's active within the communities, also on the Bethlehem Library Board. I did check to make sure in terms of meeting conflicts, their meetings don't conflict with ours, so I don't see that being an issue there. There were no questions at the committee. What I would propose doing is that I will take the same resolution that we used to recommend Michelle to the county legislature and update that to reflect Caroline.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Okay.
Thank you for catching that.
Hi, Corey.
Sure.
that was, yeah, I caught the LLC one.
Thank you.
Good job, Mark.
Are we
I looked at him, I said, hey, we did, yeah, we caught it. We came to the damn meeting.
Are we busting through that wall and making your office part of the new longer table for the entire board?
We're gonna have to figure something out, yeah. Or you guys have to coordinate a little bit better when you know, taking the night off. But that's it that's all we have for this evening, so. we can be-
Motion to adjourn,
I move to unanimous consent to adjourn the meeting.
second. We don't have to do that. Right, and I don't have to say, all in
If
favor?
nobody objects, then it goes ahead.
We can go to kindergarten, raise your hand, kids.
That's it.
Okay.
Shake your hand, do the touch stamp.
There's still some pizza back there.
Yeah.
Say goodnight, Anthony.
Say goodnight, Anthony.
Say goodnight.